Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast brought to you by AbsoluteMotorsport.com and the Alloy TV. I'm James Casey, and joining me today is Josh Suttill. What we're going to be doing is just looking at the Monte-Carlo rally, and we'll be reviewing that, going through all of the drivers. And of course, if you don't know already, Sébastien Ogier took his 5th consecutive Monte-Carlo victory, starting off his title defence once again in a fantastic fashion. But it was a very interesting rally, as Monte Carlo usually is, and there's plenty of talking points for us to go through. But we will start with Ogier's victory. Basically, what did you make of Ogier's victory? Was it a complete domination, or was it a little bit harder than the timing screens might show?
Well, it was just classic Sébastien Ogier, wasn't it, really? I mean, I don't think that kind of 58-second gap even does it justice, really. And that's actually, I think, one of his smaller winning margins for recent years in Monte Carlo. But yeah, classic Sébastien Ogier. The way he was just able to just turn it round, from going in a ditch on Friday, literally dragging himself out of that with the help of the spectators. And then, the first stage, on Saturday morning, just being able to pull it out of the bag and just smash everyone out of the water. I think it was like a minute quicker than Ott Tanak, and just the way he was able to just pull out the stage time when it really mattered. I really felt that he was in control pretty much from start to finish, even with that spin on the very first stage. He won that stage even with that spin, and was just controlling it all the way through. And as I said, I don't think that 58 seconds does it justice, because there was only one man who was ever going to win this rally this weekend, and it was Sébastien Ogier.
Yeah, just looked in fantastic form. And on Saturday, he kind of let the gap close down, didn't he? It was after the first stage on Saturday, it was up to like a minute and 18. He just kind of let that gap fall back. I think he just knew that if he had 30 seconds going into the final day, he would be absolutely fine, and he was indeed. When he needed to pull it out, he did. As you said, a bit of a moment in a ditch, fans pushed him out, but other than that, he looked in complete and utter control. So good signs to the start of the season, but as we've said, 5 consecutive wins at Monte, by far his strongest event. I mean, he's very good everywhere, but even Monte Carlo is even a step above that. So expect things to be a little bit closer for the rest of the season. But the closest challenger was Ott Tanak's 2nd position, and personally, from my point of view, I thought he looked really, really good straight away, really comfortable at the team, seemed to be really calm throughout the rally, and a really good performance from him.
Yeah, really, he looked comfortable, as you said, from the very first stage, and it's really a testament to Toyota's, kind of signing capabilities. They got Latvala, of course, for their first year, and now they've got Ott Tanak for the 2nd year, and they're really going to be having a big push, I think, for both championships. Tanak's really a man who can push Ogier, I think, all the way this year, and that certainly started off in a very, very good way. It was just great to see him pushing Ogier on this rally. He couldn't quite do it, but I think in Sweden, all 3 Toyotas could be up there and could be a real force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely, in my personal view, Tanak for Sweden victory, I'm thinking. But as you said, all the other Toyotas are going to be pretty competitive there. But I thought for me, Tanak's rally showed and confirmed to me that he's a definite real title contender. Obviously, last year he was there or thereabouts, but I think this year he's going to be able to really take it up a notch, and not just through consistency be up there, but just on pure pace every rally. I think he's going to be there, and that's really good to see. And completing the podium was Jari-Matti Latvala. I think he'll be reasonably happy with how his event went on the podium, but didn't quite seem to have that out-and-out pace as Ott Tanak. No stage wins for Jari.
Yeah, no stage wins on the Monte, I think, since like 2013, 2014. So maybe not a big worry for him, because he's never really gone that well at this event. But just like last year, he's come away with a podium. And in fact, the same podium actually as last year, but I believe just with Latvala and Tanak's positions reversed. So another really good Monte for Latvala, even though he didn't have that outright pace, even though he was outpaced by his new teammate. I don't think there's going to be too many worries for now, but certainly over the next few rounds, he's really going to be wanting to get ahead, because James, that can't have been too great for him with Tanak coming into the team and already kind of stamping his authority.
Yeah, I think that he would have hoped probably in this first rally to, even in Monte, not his strongest event, probably be just on top of Tanak to get that early season advantage. But as you say, turn it around in the next few rounds, and he might be able to maintain that kind of level footing with Tanak. Obviously, if he wants to fight for the championship, that's the first person who he's got to beat. In fourth position was Chris Meek, and a fantastic quote from him after winning the power stage, and he didn't know at the time, but moving up to fourth, he called it a horrendous rally, which I think is quite interesting for the fact that he actually picked up 17 points.
Yeah, a weird rally for him, I think it's fair to say. I mean, yeah, I think he also said kind of after the power stage, he really wasn't comfortable, and he really, I think, was annoyed that he had to push that much on the final stage. He really kind of felt like I think he was right on the edge and nearly bidding his C3. So a good performance, I think, from Chris Meek, really. I mean, obviously, he says he wasn't comfortable, so is this going to be a bit of a worry for Citroen going forward? But at the end of the day, he's bagged 17 points, which is a lot more than last year, of course, and already a much better start to the season than last year. So, yeah, I think a bit of a steal here for Chris Meek, because I think on pace, they certainly were not the fourth quickest, but getting to the flag at fourth, of course, nicking it from Lappy right at the end. Yeah, good job from Chris Meek. But I think this is going to kind of mask, I think, their kind of larger issues. Like we said, he's not comfortable with the car, and a fourth place, it is good, but it's not quite representative.
Yeah, and I think it's really on that one you've got to look at the times, considering he only just beat Neuville, he only just beat Evans, and they obviously had big problems on Thursday, and really he should have been just kind of staying with a big gap behind him until the end. But
what a power stage, though! A power stage win. That was magnificent.
Really cool,
when he came across the line and blew everyone out of the water. That's the Chris Meek we know and love, and that's the sort of one that's going to put him in more championship contention and staying in the rally like he did this weekend. More of those, please, Chris. And he could be a kind of an outside bet, at least for the top 5 in the championship.
Yeah. And after Meek, fifth position, Thierry Neuville, and he was very happy with his rally. Apart from Thursday, which is obviously a real shame. Stage number 1, sliding into a ditch, stuck in an icy section, stuck in the snow. Took him 4 minutes to get out, and I think he could be forgiven for this mistake. Obviously, it's his 5th kind of off in a season and a round, but I think he can be forgiven for this mistake.
Yeah, for sure, and especially with the recovery drive he went and did, was certainly very, very good, and I think good damage limitation overall for Neuville. He's urging Hyundai not to panic, because this is just, of course, kind of one error. But just like last year, he can't afford a repeat of it in Sweden. But he's got a lot more points than he did this time last year, so it's certainly not championship over or anything like that. But certainly, pretty disastrous for Hyundai, and especially what happened to his teammates as well, which we'll come on to.
Yeah, because obviously that was kind of lots of problems coming to each car at a time, unfortunately, for Hyundai. But yeah, Neuville, good recovery, and obviously he was a little bit lucky with other people making mistakes, but his general pace was what really put him in that position to fight for the top 5, despite that problem on the first day. And again, a good power stage, picking up some more points for him. Next was Elfyn Evans. Again, I think probably a strong rally for him, apart from Thursday night again. And he was around about the same kind of gap to the front as Neuville. And they both kind of fought through the pack together. And then Evans just had a pretty weak Sunday, which lost him out to Neuville in the end. But generally, do you think that Evans made a good step up to obviously that main M Sport drive?
Yeah, to keep pretty level with Neuville all weekend is no mean feat, really. So well done to Evans. Neuville, of course, winning 5 stages, more than anyone else as well. So I think both of them did a really solid job and kind of announced themselves or kind of confirmed themselves as kind of title challengers for this year. So yeah, good job for Evans, but shame for the second year in a row he's not really got a proper start to the season. Hopefully that'll come in Sweden. But yeah, good recovery drives from both of them.
And then we move on to 7th position, the final Toyota of Esa-Pekka Lappi, and what a massive shame, basically. He went into the weekend not really too confident, didn't end last season brilliantly, and not too experienced on the tarmac, and didn't do Monte last year either. So a really good rally for him, apart from the last stage where he made not a big error, it was a pretty small error, but then it cost him quite badly because he couldn't get into reverse gear to get out. But he was really distraught with himself at the end of the rally, wasn't he?
Yeah, one of many drivers actually to have a kind of very small mistake, but then go and make it worse. We saw Meek reversing into a ditch. We saw Ogier kind of doing a similar thing as well. So it's not exclusive to these kind of inexperienced guys. So Esqueka can at least take something from that. And at least for Toyota, they haven't actually dropped any points because they've got their two kind of point scorers in second and third. So really, it didn't make too much difference if it was 4th or 7th for Lappy. But of course, disappointing after all that hard work. But I'm sure he'll bounce back, and at least the pace was there on a rally that, like you said, he's had no experience of before. So still, despite that last stage, a very, very good rally for Lappy.
I forgot to point out as well, actually, he had a puncture on Saturday as well, actually. So that was really good that despite those two problems, he was still able to finish really close to that 4th position, obviously just missing out. I think he was 14 seconds off 4th. Finishing in 7th because of that mistake. And then it was Brian Bouffier, who kind of had a bit of a problem before the rally with his co-driver having to change at the last minute. But I think he did a solid job, but our kind of ideas of him being a possible dark horse didn't quite come true, did they?
No, unfortunately not. As you mentioned, the co-driver thing probably the main issue there, and the lack of preparation. I didn't quite realise just how little preparation he'd had for this event until I heard more about it on the Friday and Saturday. But he got to the finish. He didn't make too many mistakes. He had problems with his Fiesta on Sunday, but still came home in 8th place. So a very solid job for Bouvier, and I just hope he has more preparation for Corsica because. He might be able to get a bit of a better result there, but still, he kept it on the road, and I think that's all they could already ask for him. And I guess the kind of experience behind the scenes as well, that he would have given to the team as well, for both Ogier and Evans, would have probably helped as well.
And then our final finisher under the kind of normal rally was Craig Breen in 9th, and it wasn't a good event at all for Craig, but at least he got 2 points, I suppose.
Yeah, decent pace on times when he wasn't first on the road or when his brakes weren't on fire. Good performance.
Yeah, I think it was kind of just a big shame, really, his whole rally, and looked quite good, I thought, on day one, but he didn't seem too happy with it on that Thursday night.
He was quick, wasn't he? Yeah, on that Thursday night he was setting fastest laps, but as fastest sectors. But this is his first. Can I just point out? Sorry, this is his first. Finish in the top 10, but not 5th place.
Yes.
Since 2016.
Yeah.
In Spain.
Yeah, that must be quite strange for him.
Yeah, there we go. So
I was thinking he would just drop out the rally just to keep that record.
Yes, very true. But yes, a couple of points for Citroen and for Breen.
And then the two Hyundais of Andres Mikkelsen and Danny Sordo. Mikkelsen did finish the rally under Rally 2 rules to pick up manufacturer points, but only 3 points from the power stage. And Danny Sordo didn't finish the event because he ran off the road from what was a good position, a podium position. And same with Mikkelsen. He had an alternator problem, so it wasn't his fault. But we will start with Mikkelsen. A big shame for him. And obviously, he's actually had 4 rallies so far at Hyundai and has only finished in the points in terms of actually finishing position in one event. Is that going to start to be a little bit of a concern for him, or is this just kind of not too much of a concern?
Yeah, concern for both him and the team, because all 3 of their cars this weekend had major issues, and that screams of 2017 to me, and it screams that this pattern is just continuing into this year. So that's definitely going to be a big worry for Hyundai, and it's going to be a big worry for their drivers as well. So yeah, not the best full-time debut, if you will, for Mikkelsen, and it was a shame because we were robbed of him really going for a podium position. And his pace looked good on Thursday, but like you said, after that, he wasn't really in the rally because of that alternator failure. And then first on the road in the power stage, so I guess you could only do so much on that.
Yeah, I think that trend, as you say, needs to stop as soon as possible. They can't go into this season keeping that kind of run going on because they will drop too many points. especially now that they're fighting possibly Toyota throughout this season as well.
Yes.
And it's not just Ford that they've got to beat. They've really got to get that consistency. And a mix of problems. And then going on to Sordo, he ran off the road. Just kind of, I think really, to be honest, it was the snow that threw him off. I think he would have wanted it to stay dry like it was on the Friday.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most experienced guys in the field, and he throws it off the road. I mean, like I say, it's a continuing theme as well from last year. They usually, ultra consistent Danny Sordo has had quite a few offs over this past year and a bit, and that is a real shame, especially when he's fighting for his seat. With Hayden Paddon. I guess you could kind of say, even though Paddon hasn't driven yet this year, it is almost kind of 1-0 to Paddon already with this big error for Sordo. So yeah, really not. Yeah, I just kind of shook my head. I was really disappointed, to be honest, because he had really good pace. Well, I wouldn't say really good pace, but he was up there. He kind of avoided trouble up until then, and like you said, was on for probably what would have at least been 4th place. Looking at the kind of the final times now, so yeah, a big shame, and that has really helped them. With Mickelson having his problem, they'd have still scored points with 2 cars there properly, but unfortunately, just Neville with the top 10 finish. So Sordo not doing his job as the 3rd driver, and he might be back in Corsica probably.
Yeah, that
would be
no,
my
Mexico.
guess.
He's doing Mexico.
Mexico.
As well.
All right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Needs to do better there.
There's quite. If you want to think of it in general terms for how they've spread it, it's really Sordo's doing most of his rallies in the first half and Paddon most in the second half.
Okay.
There are slight variations. Obviously, Paddon's doing the next round, but that's how it's going. Danny was not the most popular man within Hyundai after they did.
He stayed out there a long time, didn't he? He stayed a long time there in the trees. I don't think he wanted to come back to the Hyundai pace too quickly.
I can't remember who they were interviewing, but they just said, "Oh, he was going too fast." No kind of.
Oh yeah, the blame was clear, wasn't it?
It wasn't that's an unfortunate mistake. Oh, what a shame! It was too fast.
6 rallies left. He'll be counting them down on his fingers.
Yeah.
On his hands. And that could be it. That could be it if he doesn't do well this year. That could be a long career over.
So that's everyone from WRC. Now we'll move on to WRC2, which, as we kind of mentioned before the event, not the best fight in terms of actual WRC2 entrants. Lots of good R5 cars, but as expected in Monte, quite a lot of problems. We were denied of a really good fight between the trio of Kopeschke, Cameli and Sunderland, weren't we?
Yeah, real big shame. And Kevin Abring as well, you could even possibly throw up to there. But, Cameli was so impressive on shakedown and through the opening test. I thought that we were going to see a real return to form for Eric Cameli. And this was really where he was going to start off a season, where he was going to take the fight to Skoda, where he was going to get back into the WRC. And then it all went wrong for him. So, yeah, that momentum might have stopped now. But, good pace, I guess, from the M Sport guys. I guess I'm trying to look for positives. But, good job from Jan Kopecky anyway to keep it on the road. And that's 25 points for him to start off his championship. And that's 25 points lost for those M Sport guys.
Yeah, so just controlling drive from Kopecky after those M Sport crashes. And Cameli didn't, with just 6 entrants, he could have actually... as it turned out, he could have got a 3rd or 4th place finish, but it would have been 3rd. But he actually ended up crashing a 2nd time, and then couldn't even complete the rally under Rally 2 rules, which is quite costly for him because that's some pretty crucial points possibly.
Well, that's his drop round, isn't it now? So these next 6 rounds have to count. So that's his kind of joker gone immediately.
Yeah. Not good at all. And then we kind of brushed over those other 2 drivers, but they actually finished on the podium. But Guilherme de Mevius, unfortunately, for a very strange reason, he had an underweight battery. Not the car. The car as a whole was fine for weight, but just one component was underweight, and he was moved to the back of the finishers. So he was moved from 2nd to 4th, which meant that... Eddie Schizeri was 2nd in his Citroen DS3, and then Timo Sunderland under Rally 2 was in 3rd position. But I mean, we don't really know these other 2 drivers that ended up finishing all right. But a good effort from them to make it to the finish of the Monte, and they were rewarded, weren't they?
On his debut as well, Schizeri. his first ever WRC2 event, and he comes home second. So credit to him, and you get these experienced guys running off the road, and I guess credit to everyone really, right? Because Sordo, I think, was the only WRC entrant who properly threw it off the road and didn't come back.
Yeah.
Mikkelsen and was the only one outside of the top 10. So this is, I reckon, a record. 9 out of 11 basically got properly to the end.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good for Monte-Carlo.
Yeah.
So it's a well done to everyone, and those WRC2 guys as well, for the most part, doing a good job.
So that wraps everything up. There was no junior WRC for this round, so that will be coming next in Sweden, and we'll be doing a preview for the whole of Sweden in our next episode. And I just need to find the exact date, but it is in the middle of February. It's the 15th of February is Rally Sweden. So we will have a preview of the three categories, WRC, WRC2 and Junior WRC, coming up probably a few days before that event. And we will see you then. But a very interesting Monte Carlo, and it should set it up for a good rest of the season, and certainly signs that we could be seeing a three-way title battle possibly
Yes.
in both of the championships. So really good to see that. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.